Hi everyone, it's me Darlene. I am going to do something that I've done sort of kinda before, but not exactly, I don't think. I am going to do strip piecing on a foundation, but what I don't usually do is I don't usually do, everything the same, like I like wonky, stuff like that. But I have some 2-inch strips, I have some 1-inch strips of black, and I have, my piece is actually 9 inches square. It can be any size you want, but I would suggest you go bigger so you can trim after. So if you want a finished size of like 10 inches, I would go 10.5 at least, and then you'll be able to trim and get a nice 10-inch square out of that when you're done. And we're just going to build on this foundation. I'm just using this piece of pink that I have. I don't even really know why I have this. It's not something I would ever be selling. So it's a good thing to use for this. So we're going to take a strip and you're going to lay it on your corner. You want to make sure your corner is covered and maybe a 1/2 inch extra there. And you need to make it long enough, because sometimes you think, you have enough, but when you flip, you're going to be sewing these and flipping, you will discover that you don't have enough to cover. We'll get to that in a minute. So this one is just going to be laid down, so I'm safe to cut this one. Now I'm going to be adding a piece of black. I'm kind of going for a mosaic kind of look with but it's not going to be mosaic at all. I shouldn't say that. I just like black between colors. And now I'm going to take a strip of black. This black has no right or wrong side, and I would think any solid doesn't. But if you're using something else between and it has a right side, well, you want to put the right sides together. Right side up, right side down. Now I'm going to make this longer too. See, because I'm going to be flipping that, so I want to make sure I have good coverage. So I'm just going to leave it and I'll trim it after. Now I'm just going to go sew right there. So I trimmed that off at the machine, and this is what I'm saying. Now we need to flip this guy up and finger press. You can also press with the iron if you want. See how I just made it covering that foundation? Again, if you use a square that's a little bigger than you need, then that wouldn't matter because you would be trimming. You just really need to make it longer than you think you need. And I am going to go press this down. Now I will take another color. Do I have a plan? Not really. And now this side is going down. And again, if you want to check, you can flip it up and see. Looks like this is good. So I'm just flipping it down and I'm putting it to the edge of the black, and I'm going to sew right there. I can tell I'm going to still be wonky, that's fine. So now I pressed it, and what I'm going to do before I cut this tail off, well, I can see, but if you want, you can flip it over. Now you can cut, but still leave extra. But you don't want to always be bringing that to your sewing machine. Okay, we're coming back to black. I am going to make sure I have enough, and then I'm just going to leave it long. I'll trim after the fact. Feel free to put some pins if you want. And once again, to cut off my tail, I am flipping it over and making sure I have enough sticking out. And this is what we have so far. And, I'm sewing about 1/4 inch in when I sew like this, but you don't have to worry about that. Wonky is good, always good. Now let's see, let's do this one. No, right sides together. Nice and long. Plenty of room like that. And I'm just going to stitch to there. Now you can see my diagonal is not perfect at all, and I wasn't aiming for it to be. See, this piece is covering the corner here, but not here. So each block is just going to be a little bit different. I like that. You don't want to be worried about all kinds of things. So let me trim that off. That's why I really do like it when the strips are different widths. And you can absolutely do that. And if you don't have strips, but you have scraps, you know, you can sew pieces together and then cut them, make your own strips. You could even have a little bit of black between them. That would be really cool. Now we're back to black. Is this long enough? It is. Right there. I'm liking maybe some red or maybe some more pink. I don't need to be too fussy. Like that. Before I forget, always check my eBay because I often have sets of 30 scrappy strips, and I happen to have that right now. I just put that up this morning. My eBay link is in the description, or you can always go to my blog, darlenemisho.com, and you'll find my links there. Yeah, I usually have them, but I took a break, so it took a little while for me to gather that many strips. They're not evenly cut, but that's okay. You can make them wonky, or you can, you can cut them and make them even. And I do have links in that auction to show you other ways that I have used those scrappy strips. All right, now I really like this, and when it's trimmed, you know it's always so much prettier when it's trimmed. Now let's do dots. Whoops. No, I have to do black. And I have a piece over here. Is this long enough? I have a little scrappy piece. Ah, yes. This will work. Right there. Let's see, I have 3 different colors cut. So I'll be able to, let me see, if I do that, another black. I don't know. We'll see. We'll see if I can make it. I'm going to do these polka dots right now. Right there. Here's my concern. I think that when I have another strip here, let's just say it's about like that, my 2-inch strip isn't going to be wide enough when I have it there. See, there's a little tip missing here. So I could cut a strip a little wider, or I could just trim this down after the fact. I think I'm going to trim it. So maybe I'll trim this to, what did I say it was, 9-inch? Maybe I'll trim it to 8-inch. In the way, that's why I like strips not the same width, because then you can play with it, because we don't do things perfectly. And I like the not perfect, so that's what I would do next time. I would cut all kinds of different width strips, and then at the end you can use whatever strip you need. Whatever width you need to cover your corner. But I'm just going to trim my block down. So let's do one more black. I hope that all made sense. Because sometimes, many times, most times, I don't make sense. And last but not least, I'm going to do the red. And sadly, there won't be enough. And that's okay. I can live with this. And this is what I have for colors. I could put some, that would just give such a tiny, tiny little tip of color. I don't know. You know what? Why not try it? Let's see how it would look. So I'm going to go one more time. I'm going to do some black. Maybe I'll pull it in a little bit so the red will be a little bit narrower. So I'm just going to go like that. All I have is that little tip to cover, like that. I think I'll go with the pink that I started with, because I don't want to have to go looking around for other stuff. It's just that little corner, so I'm just going to sew there. Let me trim some of this right now. This is what I have right now, something that looks like this. I'm going to flip it over, and I am going to trim it, and I'm going to see how it looks if I trim to the size of my foundation. So I'll just go along with my ruler. Now I wanted to tell you, let's say you're making like a tote bag or something and you would like it lined. You could use fabric that you would like as the lining. I've got these lines, but that's cool. So if you did that, when you lay your stuff on the foundation, your foundation would be face down. So when you flip it over, it would be face up. Let's say you wanted to make some big squares. You could take some layer cakes if you don't feel like cutting 10-inch squares. You could use that as a foundation piece. Maybe you have some leftover layer cake pieces that you don't particularly like or whatever, and you could just use them as foundation. You would put them facing down, the right side down. You would build on it, and then when you flipped this over, you would see the print of that piece, and that would be nice if you're making a tote bag or something. It would be already lined. Okay, I'm going to just trim this. Are we ready? Are we ready to see? Oh my goodness. Oh, I love this so much. Look at this. I love the black. I love the little tiny piece at the corner that matches the bigger piece. Oh, you guys. I love the slight wonkiness. The black is a little bit wider there. Oh, this is just really, really cool. I like that. Now just imagine that sashed with black in a quilt. You know, you would sash between your pieces, and then you would do sashing across the whole row. I'm going to take some close-ups so you can see it. And then all this, no, that's not getting thrown away. That's going to go in the crumb box. Let's get rid of this guy. Well, this was worth doing, and it was worth continuing, even though I felt like I had screwed up, because I love that little tiny corner. If you want, you can use different size strips, or you can just, you know, do it whatever way you want, and don't worry about how it turns out. Because I'm telling you, when you trim things, they're always awesome. And don't be afraid to mix all kinds of prints. Thank you so much for watching. I'll just show you this up close, coming up right now. Please subscribe. I'll be back with more soon. Bye.